Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are finally capping off our massive 27-school data audit. Over our last 26 deep dives, we analyzed the higher education landscape, looking at top-tier and mid-tier institutions from NTU, NCCU,陽明交通, and Chenkong, all the way to schools like Tsinghua, Central, and Taipei Medical University. But today, we are putting Fujian Catholic University entirely under the microscope.
Right, so after establishing that clear baseline across those 26 other universities, this entire analysis is dedicated solely to FJU. We're going to evaluate exactly where its departments stand right now as a mid-tier, metropolitan powerhouse, comparing them directly to similar programs at peer institutions.
We've got a lot of ground to cover to evaluate every single department, so here is our agenda. 1. Episode 27, FJU in Focus. 2. Calculating the popularity metric. 3. Macro trends and tuition subsidies. 4. Healthcare, management, and arts. 5. Law, humanities, and STEM. And 6. FJU's future outlook.
Section 2. Calculating the popularity metric. Before we jump into the raw data, it's absolutely crucial to understand how we actually measure a department's success here. We use a popularity metric. Basically, it's a geometric mean that combines the preference rate, so the percentage of eligible students who actually listed it as a choice, with the national ranking order, where a smaller number means it's mathematically harder to get into. We're not just looking at who ultimately enrolled, we're calculating true demand. How bad did students want it versus how difficult was it to get in?
Section 3. Macro trends and tuition subsidies.
To really make sense of FJU's recent ranking fluctuations, you have to look at the massive systemic shifts in Taiwanese higher ed over the last few years. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. Back in 2022, the new curriculum chaos pushed high-scoring students to play it safe, which temporarily surged FJU's ranking. Then, in 2023, cross-testing dilution hit, mathematically dropping their nominal rankings as applicant pools artificially swelled across the board. But then came 2024. The 35,000 NTD private school tuition subsidy went into effect, and honestly, this was a massive windfall for FJU.
And this brings us to the drivers of FJU's incredible resilience. Because of its unbeatable Taipei metro location, strong enterprise favorite employment status, 12 diverse colleges, and modernized facilities, FJU capitalized on that tuition subsidy beautifully. By virtually erasing the cost gap with rural national universities, FJU became the premier choice for students wanting to stay in the city, creating a literal buffer against the shrinking demographic curve.
Section 4. Healthcare, management, and arts.
Let's get right into the microsector deep dive, starting with healthcare and arts. FGU has a really fascinating mix here. Medicine and public health med are showing elite high growth. Occupational therapy and clinical psych are holding incredibly stable. But on the flip side, nursing, respiratory therapy, nutrition, public health, and food science are all seeing a slight decline. Looking at arts and lifestyles, FJU's textiles department, covering design, fashion, and marketing, is an unrivaled national niche. However, landscape design sits at a lower popularity tier, while restaurant and hotel management, ad and PR, and image communication are showing slight declines.
Now, you really have to notice the sheer dominance of FJU's medical wing. FJU Medicine is the undeniable crown jewel here. Boasting a massive growth trend, it places right on the heels of traditional private medical titans like Chonggung and TMU.
But, we can't ignore reality. Grueling, real-world industry conditions are directly causing the tangible dips we're seeing in FJU's nursing and restaurant management degrees. Low starting salaries and severe staffing shortages out in the real world are actively deterring students, dragging down those popularity metrics despite the strong FJU brand.
Over in the management cluster, FJU remains a highly stable enterprise favorite. Business administration, accounting, and information management are all holding perfectly stable. However, there's a very distinct student shift happening. Traditional finance and international business, currently ranking at 418, as well as economics, are actually declining in popularity.
Section 5. Law, Humanities, and STEM.
This brings us to the most brutally honest segment of our explainer, evaluating FJU's historical core. We promised to point out exactly where they are lagging, so let's look at every single department here. Law and financial law are elite, but heavily challenged. History and philosophy actually show surprising niche resilience. But sociology and both the social and natural tracks of psychology are lagging behind peers. Religion and Catholic studies see wild ranking swings purely because their applicant pools are so small.
Over in languages, English, Japanese, and Chinese are dipping slightly, but the pure European languages, French, German, Italian, and Spanish, are facing a significant decline. Finally, educational leadership is also seeing a slight dip.
Let's zoom in on law for a second. We have to be direct here. While FJU law is robust, sitting at a national rank of 322 with an index of 0.009, it is currently losing the battle for the top private law school title. Soochow University Law is beating it by a significant margin, sitting way up at rank 183 with a 0.0015 index. FJU just isn't the absolute consensus for private law right now, and the data proves it.
And the humanities are really feeling the squeeze. AI translation software is literally devastating those pure European language majors we just talked about. Plus, FJU sociology, ranked at 605, is dangerously lagging behind its national peers. The reality is, these traditional stronghold programs are becoming increasingly marginalized. Finally, let's look at FJU's STEM departments. Electrical engineering at rank 481, computer science at 606, chemistry at 763, and their newer AI and cybersecurity focus at 844. Honestly, auditing these departments uncovers what is arguably the university's most critical vulnerability in today's digital economy.
There is absolutely no sugarcoating this data. FJU's computer science and electrical engineering programs are being heavily outpaced by traditional engineering powerhouses. While FJU CS sits down at 606, schools like Chung-Yuan, Fengchia, and Tamkong are dominating private STEM with ranks between 469 and 537. For a comprehensive university in the AI era, this severe lag is a massive warning sign.
Section 6. FJU's Future Outlook.
So, having audited every single department, what does the overarching data actually tell us? Well, despite the glaring weaknesses in STEM and law that we just walked through, FJU achieved an astounding 0 vacancies in the 2024 admission cycle. Literally 0.
That 0 vacancy success tells us that FJU currently operates in a bifurcated reality. Medicine and management are aggressively leading the charge, and FJU's overall brand, its medical prestige, and that subsidized metro location are successfully masking the struggles of its arts and tech departments.
Which leaves us with a really critical question to ponder as we close out this 27-school analysis. Can FJU leverage this current momentum, this 0 vacancy safety net, to aggressively fix its structural weaknesses in STEM and law before the demographic winter deepens? It's a massive challenge for one of Taiwan's premier institutions. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep questioning the data.